Hey guys, this is Elation Podfic, and today we're going to be reading Who's Old Now by Lyra Buzwavi. This is Chapter 3. Marvel, stay after. I'd like to speak with you. Captain Marvel stared. Batman wanted him to stay after, with him, in private, for a conversation. Ooh, someone's in trouble, Hal snickered. The captain agreed. Had he found out? Would Batman stare him in the face and call him Billy? Or would he bring up Danny, decide his address and see how he reacted? Batman was silent, and also glaring at Hal hard. Hal put up his hands. Going? Hal said. It was nice knowing you, Cap. He wandered out of the meeting room. Superman nodded to both Marvel and Batman before exiting. Cyborg conciliatorily patted his shoulder, and he got more than one piteous or curious glance. So now Billy was alone, with Batman, staring at each other, in silence. Avert eyes. It's to challenge predators, Solomon advised. Very unhelpfully, Billy might add. Follow me, Batman growled. Secondary location. Getting taken to a secondary location by a scary adult. The part of his mind that still lived on the streets whispered as Marvel followed behind Batman. Okay, no. All parts of his mind, including various gods, needed to be quiet. What would Danny do? For one, stay calm. Two, it was Batman. He was trusted. And Billy could leave. Say no. He had the body and the privileges of an adult. They were still at the watchtower. Sure, they were walking to a little-used part that Billy knew nothing about, and mind control existed in Nanobots and shapeshifters, and Billy needed to calm the fuck down. Batman turned abruptly and opened the door to a cozy-looking common room. There was a little kitchenette to the side and a pair of soft green couches facing each other, over a low coffee table. The part that took Billy's breath away and dimmed his fears was the large window that stretched wall to ceiling, open to the gorgeous view of Earth. He never got over how beautiful it was to see the view from space, to look down and know that he was protecting each and every life. A small part of something bigger. It stirred something in his chest, an emotion that felt too big for a 12-year-old to comprehend or contain. Marvel, Batman growled, immediately calling attention back to him. Marvel snapped his head over and waited for Batman to speak. And waited. And then waited a little bit more. Had Batman stopped breathing? Marvel didn't think he'd seen Batman move since they entered the room. Wait, no. There was a minute tightening of his fist. Not in a I'm gonna hit you way, but a nervous way? A nervous tick? There was no way at all that Batman was nervous for a conversation with him. So Batman wouldn't take the first step. That's okay. Marvel could do it instead. Marvel took the initiative and sat down on one of the couches, the one facing the kitchenette, and gave Batman what he had hoped was a disarming smile. Let's sit down. I'm nervous enough already. There. The ball was in Batman's court. An admission of vulnerability, putting control back in Batman's hands. Batman swept over silently and sat on the opposite couch with cat-like grace. Is there something in particular you'd like to talk about? Marvel asked, in what he had hoped was a soft tone. That maybe he was mimicking from Danny, just a little bit. That, however, just made Batman sigh, in the most world-weary voice Marvel had ever heard from him, and put his head in his hands. Marvel waited for Batman to say something, and eventually, with a deep breath in, he spoke. Marvel, I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be difficult for me. I'm trusting you with this. And Marvel was struck dumb. Batman was trusting him? Batman was going to be honest? Master an enigma wrapped in a riddle with the side of a red herring clue? But before the captain could say anything, Batman continued. I have decided you might be one of the best people to talk to this about. Batman's voice was less growly. What was going on? My son died, and he came back. How do you manage? Oh no. This was coming back to bite him so bad. He wasn't the dad of a kid that had died. He was just Billy. Marvel lowered his eyes. He couldn't come clean now. That would be so awkward. So just honesty. Lies and omission. He could do this. He could. I didn't know him before he died. He's always been like this to me. And here his voice warbled. Terrifying to think I may have never even met him. It raised an aching pressure in his chest to even verbalize the thought that he's had before, and Marvel lifted his watering eyes to Batman's. I have to tell myself that I'd know something was missing. Phantom's presence in my life was something I knew I wanted from the moment I first realized what he meant to me, and what I meant to him, and not knowing him, knowing that something was missing but never who, that terrifies me so much. That he could have stayed dead, and I wouldn't have my only family. Marvel choked on his breath and wiped lightly at his eyes. I managed by reassuring myself that he is here. He may have been hurt horribly, and that he didn't have to come back, but he did. And in his own way, he stayed. Batman stared at him silently, then nodded slowly. I appreciate your candidacy on the subject. My son came back so full of anger. I've tried, but I don't know how I can truly help him. Okay, continuing with the advice train. How to help with someone full of anger. He couldn't do it from a parent's perspective. He could do none of it the way Batman wanted. But he knew what it was like to be a kid, hurt and alone and angry. Even if Billy had hidden it well behind the polite smiles and got grannies to give him little bits of candy and dollars for being such a nice man, he knew what it was like to be a kid full of complicated emotions and not knowing what to do with them. So he couldn't give parenting advice, but he can say that he would have wanted to be told or how to be treated in that situation. Anger is a part of grief, you know. It's okay that he's angry with you or himself or with the world that killed him. It's okay that he's angry. And telling him he shouldn't be is one of the most counterproductive things you can do. He's hurting, but also, Marvel made direct eye contact with Batman. You're there for him, and that's the most important thing you can do. Making sure he knows you have his back, not just for vigilante things, but for everything. If he's still legally dead, help him how he wants to deal with that. Fake identities or resurrect his civilian one. Weirder things have happened in this world. There have been mass resurrections before. Easy enough to say he was brought back in one of those. And maybe encourage him to try online school, for whatever stage he's at or missed. Ask about his hobbies, listen to him for anything. Don't make your relationship professional. Marvel couldn't help but spit that out. The social workers that looked at him as nothing but a job flashing through his mind. He's your son, and you're his dad. That's the most important thing, isn't it? Batman looked at Marvel. It is, he said quietly, and then with more conviction. It is. Marvel couldn't help but think that this was Batman without a mask. Not literally, he was still Batman. But the lack of growl in his voice, the absence of a pronounced frown, a casual posture that spoke more of a man than a myth. I can't say it'll be easy, for you or him. There'll be, and probably already have been, ups and downs. Just stay focused on the core of these feelings. What is that to you? Billy wanted to take it back as soon as he said it. You don't ask Batman his feelings, that's nuts. But Batman just looked at Marvel and replied, that I love him. And there was quiet. Not the stifling quiet that had driven Marvel to speak first, but a considering quiet. And Billy took this moment to think, where would he be? If Danny had stayed dead at 14, Billy would never know. He'd never know that his dad, guardian, that he loved had died in agony as a child. It threatened to steal his breath just thinking about it. But that was in the past. He couldn't do anything about it, simply accept what it was and be grateful for what he had. A home, a stable source of food and comfort, a family, and Danny, Jazz, Ellie, Sam, and Tucker. Batman stood suddenly, startling Billy out of his thoughts. Thank you for letting me help, Marvel replied. Danny was tilting a skillet in his hand when he heard Billy come in. Hey Billy, I hope you like pan-fried chicken. It'll probably be bland. I need to run out for more spices and... Danny was cut off when he felt little arms encircle his waist. He set the pan down and turned down the heat on the stove. Everything alright, Billy? Did something happen? No. Billy's voice came muffled from where it was buried in Danny's shirt. Just happy you're here. Danny paused. Wondered briefly how this could have come up, then shrugged it off. I'm happy you're here too, Danny replied, ruffling Billy's hair. Always happy to have you. Jason, Bruce called. Jason stopped and sighed before turning around. It was a quiet night. He had worked with Timber perfectly civilly, and he had barely shot anyone with his rubber bullets. A Batman-approved evening. What could he be in trouble for now? What, old man? I stuck to all the rules, and I'd like to get some sleep tonight. I may have died, but I still got a life. Instead of the usual flinch when Jason mentioned his death, Bruce simply pulled back his cowl and looked at him with an unidentified emotion. I have something I want to show you. Oh, a case. Jason could work with that. Red Hood and Batman had established rules. Jason and Bruce, well, despite not being related by blood, avoiding emotions ran in the family. Jason sauntered over to Bruce by the back computer and looked over his shoulder. It was a fake ID with his face on it. A good fake ID. And his death records. A list of John Doe's, the last mass resurrection, because death didn't even always stick for civilians. When the laws of the universe were fucked with regularity, applications for online colleges. Do you need me to go undercover or something, Bruce? A brief silence. Jason looked at Bruce's bare face, and the way he was avoiding Jason's eyes. Fuck, he jinxed it. Bruce wanted to talk about emotions. Why the fuck would Bruce gather the courage to do that now? You enjoyed school when you went. Oh shit, they were talking about before. Bruce never brought that up. And you've helped him, Damien, and Duke more than once when they asked for your opinion on classic books. If you wanted to get a GED, then try online classes, I want to support you in that. Jason's eyes flicked over the screen, rolling implications around in his head. A fake civilian ID, to have a legal identity. his death record, and mass resurrections. You want to bring me back? Jason asked incredulously. Little Jason Todd, son of Bruce Wayne. I'm not that kid, Bruce, and you can't make me be. I don't want you to be. And for some reason the words stung something deep within Jason. I want to be as you are. I can't change you. And here Bruce made eye contact for the first time in this conversation. Nor do I want to. You can take the fake ID or the resurrection or neither. It doesn't matter to me what's changed. Because no matter what, you're my son. Jason had no reply. He was blue screening because what? Bruce had an emotionally competent conversation, and he was accepting Jason. After all he's said and done, Bruce still thought of him as his son? So he made like a normal, emotionally constipated person trained by Batman and walked away. Nope. Too tired to deal with this tonight. I'm out. Take as much time as you need, J-Lad. And Jason did not choke back a lump in his throat at the old, affectionate nickname. Jason simply reached his bike and slung his leg over, then paused. What's Alfred making for breakfast? Jason asked, sounding far more unsure than he would have liked. Turnovers, I believe. Duke did well in his last test, so he got to pick breakfast. Bruce replied, eyes glittering for too much for Jason's taste. Alfred makes good turnovers. I'll be back over to take your food. And maybe we can talk about college. He had wanted to go to college. He had loved school. Bruce wanted him to have a legal ID, to be able to get his GED, go to college, simply because Jason enjoyed it. Because Jason wanted to. Because Bruce still, after all this time, thought of Jason as his son. Who do you get your advice from on this? Jason asked, and Bruce didn't do him the disservice of lying. It would have been a very obvious lie. Someone talked to Bruce about this. Dick, maybe? Alfred? Captain Marvel. The big red cheese? Jason asked incredulously. You asked for advice from a magic user on the Justice League who you didn't know the identity of? I know enough, Bruce said mysteriously, with a glint in his eye that said he was teasing, as much as the man behind Batman ever could. Alright then, keep your secrets. Safe travel, Frodo. In the book, it's actually Gandalf that says it. I say I'm going to need to educate you troglodytes, Jason sniffed. See you later, B. See you later, J-Lad. As Jason roared down the tunnel of the Batcave on his motorcycle, his mind was spinning with a lot of things, but what came on top was he should probably hit up his favorite undead mechanic. He could maybe thank Marvel while he was there too. Alright guys, now that's the end of chapter 3 of Who's Old Now by Lyra Buswavi. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next chapter.